Mother 2 is an RPG released in 1994 in Japan on the Super Famicom. The official English translation was released a year later in 1995. It was translated by Marcus Lindblom and the title was changed to Earthbound, one word. Earthbound came with an oversized SNES box, a strategy guide, and some scratch and sniff stickers. This interesting marketing idea came from Mother 1's English translation, as mentioned in Part 1, but since that didn't pan out, Nintendo of America decided to integrate those ideas with Earthbound. This caused the game's price to be high, which was about $75. That's even more than new games today, which run about $60. The Happy Video Game Nerd, HVGN, released an Earthbound retrospective on YouTube, and on the video, he states that this is the reason why the game didn't sell well in North America. If you've read about Earthbound, you found out that the game is a cult hit, meaning it didn't sell well on initial release, but has since gained a following. A lot of people will talk about how the marketing was the reason it didn't sell well. The game was marketed as a gross-out humor type of game, which isn't necessarily true. For example, there is a boss in the game that's a giant puke monster named Master Belch. Master Belch showed up in a lot of the ads for the game, as well as the slogan, "This game stinks." Because the game is so much more than gross-out humor, a lot of people would say that this type of marketing was a misstep. Therefore, the game didn't sell well. To counter this, HVGN pointed out that gross-out humor was popular back then. Shows like Ren and Stimpy were massively popular and contained nothing but gross-out humor. He says that the price of the game probably was more to blame than the marketing. Makes sense to me, so I would side with HVGN on this one. Mother 2 is probably the most popular out of the trilogy, at least in North America. This is most likely due to the fact that it was actually released in America, and so a lot of people in my generation grew up playing the game and have fond memories of it. Having that said, there are still a lot of fans that didn't grow up playing the game and are huge fans of not just the second one, but the entire trilogy. I am one of those people. I didn't grow up playing Earthbound. In fact, I played through all 3 of these games this year. You know you have something special when the games age well and an adult can enjoy the game. This game was definitely a window into the series for Americans, and is probably the reason why there's such a huge fan base. There's a documentary being produced called Earthbound USA and is all about Earthbound fandom in the US. Along with the documentary, there will be a published unofficial guide to the game called Earthbound Handbook made by Fangamer.com. It's similar to their previous guide, Mother 3 Handbook. These books contain guides and tricks completely made by and discovered by fans. It really goes to show how much people enjoy the series and the extent of their fandom. For example, in Earthbound, there is a character who is a photographer who will only appear if the player reaches certain places. There are 32 photos to find in the game, and they all can be viewed during the credits. The photographer doesn't tell the characters to say cheese, but instead to say fuzzy pickles. This phrase is popular among fans, and sometimes they even refer to themselves as fuzzy picklers. The game's soundtrack was composed by Mother 1's composers, and is similar to the first game, in which there are samples taken from other material. This was the reason the game was released a year later in America than in Japan. There were a lot of copyright issues that had to be ironed out before release. I guess eventually they got the go-ahead without cutting anything. The game's story, setting, and mechanics are similar to the first game as well. It takes place in Eagle Land, a reference to the United States, and the protagonists are kids once again. None of the characters of the previous game make an appearance in Mother 2 except for the final boss, Gygus. The main character's name is Ness, a reference to the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. His design is similar to the previous game's protagonist, Ninten. It seems that Mother 2 is almost a revamped version of the first game, featuring things the developers wanted to do in the previous title, but couldn't due to hardware limitations. The battle system is still turn-based, but did away with random encounters. There were a few new things added as well. For one, you can see the enemies on screen, and if you approach them from behind, you get an extra turn. If they approach you from behind, they get an extra turn. Second, your health is indicated by an odometer. This means that even though an enemy delivered enough damage to kill you, your odometer would trickle down instead of instantly killing you, giving you time to heal yourself before it reaches 0. Mother 2 doesn't take itself too seriously, but there seems to be a darker tone beneath the surface. Some of the sprites from the Japanese version and American version are different, just as the first game in its translation. Some names were changed too. This was due to avoiding anything that people would find offensive, such as the town of Threek in Mother 2, which looks like 3K when it's spelled, which makes one think of KKK. The name was changed to Threed in Earthbound. The character Ness was put into the Super Smash Bros. Series, which helped raise awareness for the games. Because of this, Earthbound has become iconic, and is the most well-known of the Mother series. What makes this game special is the same reason Mother 1 is special, uniqueness. The lightheartedness and comedic nature of the game won people's hearts, and for those who enjoy more thought-provoking tones, they're there. You just have to seek them out. Again, in meta fashion, the game asks for the player's name and it's used in the credits, but it's also used in an important moment in the game. For the longest time, Earthbound was not a part of the Wii's Virtual Console library. The fans have asked numerous times for the translation of Mother 1, Earthbound, and an official translation of Mother 3 to be included. After all, there is a huge fan base that would be happy to pay for the games to play on their Wii. In 2013, their prayers were answered and Nintendo released Earthbound on the Wii U Virtual Console, but Mother 1 and 3 are still unavailable officially. To find out more about Mother 3, I will be discussing it in Part 3. Thanks for watching.